This is Ask a Couples Counsellor, a show that answers all the relationship questions you're too afraid to ask. On the show, we'll take your questions and give you the tools you need to build trust and intimacy with your partner. I'm your host, Neha Kapoor. I'm a registered clinical counsellor and psychotherapist, and I'm really passionate about helping couples navigate the challenges that we all go through. Because after all, every relationship encounters some stormy weather now and then. Hello and welcome to another episode of Ask a Couples Counsellor. Love today isn't dying from infidelity or conflict. It's dying from disconnection, emotional laziness, and the quiet drift that happens when no one's paying attention. In this episode, I'm unpacking the kind of questions most couples are afraid to ask out loud. About emotional loyalty, keeping desire alive when life gets full, and what it really takes to sustain love across oceans. This isn't fluffy advice. It's the real unfiltered truth from the therapy room. And if you're ready to stop running on autopilot and start choosing love on purpose, this one's for you. All right, let's get into it. Our first question for today comes from an anonymous listener. Let's have a listen to their question.
What is micro-cheating?
Great question. I just want to start by saying that macro cheating is basically a series of small, seemingly innocent behaviors that flirt with the boundaries of emotional or physical fidelity. So it's not about full-blown affairs or explicit betrayals. It's about the subtle betrayals, the quiet ones, the ones you can almost convince yourself don't count. So let me tell you what it looks like. So say you're in a relationship, but you hide that fact when someone attractive gives you attention. You keep an ex's message archived just in case. Or you like every thirst trap your coworker posts, but would never tell your partner about it. You say it's harmless, but deep down, you know there's something charged about it. That little jolt of dopamine you chase in secret, that's the giveaway. So macro cheating is less about the behavior itself and more about the intent and secrecy. And if you wouldn't do it with your partner watching, or if you'd feel defensive explaining it, it's worth paying attention to. So let me give you an example. Say Sam is in a long-term relationship, but still messages his ex late at night when he's feeling lonely or nostalgic. He tells himself it's just a chat. They're still friends, but he deletes the messages after. He doesn't mention it to his partner. There's nothing explicitly sexual being said, but emotionally, he's stepping out. It's not about what he's doing. It's about why he's hiding it. So macro cheating erodes trust in tiny, almost imperceptible ways, until one day the emotional distance between two people feels enormous. And it's not about policing every interaction. It's about honesty, transparency, and emotional fidelity. So ask yourself, if the roles were reversed, would this feel okay? Would I feel safe? And if the answer is no, it's not so macro after all. I hope that answers your question. Our second question for today comes from Dana. Let's have a listen to Dana's question.
How do you keep romance and spontaneity alive in a long-term relationship?
Dana, I just want to start by saying you choose to every day. So romance doesn't die because the years pile up. It dies because we stop showing up with intention. Spontaneity doesn't disappear because life gets busy. It disappears because we let autopilot take over. People think long-term love should just keep glowing, but here's the truth. If you're not actively stoking the fire, you're letting it burn out. So keeping romance alive isn't about candlelit weekends or Instagrammable surprises. It's about presence, curiosity, effort. It's looking at your partner across the dinner table and deciding, I still want to explore who you're becoming. One couple I worked with, married for 15 years, 2 teenagers, a mortgage, barely making eye contact, told me they felt more like roommates than lovers. They weren't fighting. They just weren't feeling. So I asked them to bring back one ritual they had when they first fell in love, just one. And they chose dancing. They cleared space in their living room, made a Friday night playlist, and every weekend after the kids went to bed, they danced. No phones, no agendas, just two people choosing each other again. The first night was awkward. The third night, they laughed. By the fifth, they were kissing like teenagers in the dark. They didn't find the spark, they lit it on purpose. So romance survives when there is effort, spontaneity thrives when there is willingness, and love doesn't stay alive by accident. It stays alive because you decide it's worth the work. I hope that answers your question, Dana. Our last question for today comes from Chuck. Let's have a listen to Chuck's question.
Hi, it's Chuck, and my question is, what are the most common issues with long-distance relationships, and how do you overcome them?
Chuck, I just want to say long distance doesn't kill love. Disconnection does. Not just physical, but emotional, mental, and energetic. The hardest part of long distance isn't the geography. In my opinion, it's the meaning we attach to silence, the assumptions we make in the gaps, and the way insecurity sneaks in when we can't just reach out and touch reassurance. And the most common issues that I've seen are insecurity, miscommunication, time zone fatigue, mismatched effort, and over time, the question that starts to echo in the silence is, are we still in this together? Or are we just going through the motions? So you overcome them not by texting more, but by communicating better. Not just sending good morning texts, but actually checking in on how they're doing emotionally. You build rituals that become your anchor, like video calling every Sunday night with no distractions, or watching a show together and talking about it after. I once worked with a couple. One of them lived in India and the other lived in the US, trying to maintain a relationship across 11 time zones. She felt anxious when he'd fall asleep mid-text. He felt overwhelmed trying to meet her emotional needs late at night after a 14-hour workday. They were drifting not because they didn't care, but because they had no structure for their love. So we created one. They started doing a 5-minute check-in video every morning. Just voice and face, no pressure to solve anything. Once a week, they'd write each other a letter, old school, thoughtful, something deeper than day-to-day logistics. Within weeks, the emotional climate shifted. It wasn't about more contact. It was about meaningful contact. Long distance doesn't work on autopilot. It demands conscious, deliberate connection. You don't just wait for the next visit. You build a bridge every day with effort, attention, and emotional presence. And that's how love crosses oceans. I hope that answers your question, Chuck. All right, that's it for today. And before I go, if you have any burning questions you want answered, send them to novoempowercounselling@gmail.com. Let's navigate this journey together because better relationships start with understanding. I can't wait to hear from you. You've been listening to Ask a Couples Counselor, a show that answers all the relationship questions you're too afraid to ask. This show is produced by Novo Empower Counselling. We provide a range of services, including couples counselling, individual counselling, and online counselling. To find out more, visit our website novoempowercounselling.com.au. This show was produced with strategy and production support from Wavelength Creative. To make sure you don't miss an episode of Ask a Couples Counselor, be sure to subscribe to or follow the show in your podcast app. And while you're there, I'd love it if you could leave me a 5-star review. It really helps others find the show. I'm your host, Neha Kapoor, and I'll see you in the next episode.